The funniest things I see on the internet is this image about how all rich people are just greedy, obnoxious, and selfish. And coming from someone who started out poor, lived with and interacted with poor people the majority of my life, to now speaking with and hanging out with people that make $1 million a month, I can very clearly tell you that the difference is night and day. And I'm not saying rich people are perfect at all, but poor people, they don't seem to value their own time or yours. They barely have any order in their life in any form. They love to complain about the most minor inconveniences, but oddly enough, they take very small amounts of accountability for the circumstances that they're in that led them to those inconveniences in the first place. And more often than not, they don't even care about their own property, let alone yours. If you think I sound crazy, just ask yourself right now, who would you rather have as a neighbor, a rich person or a poor person? Not only are you going to say rich every single time, but I don't know any rich people with the freedom to live anywhere they want in the world go back and choose to live around poor people.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
You know what really grinds my gears about making videos on the internet is that I posted a video dumping literally 2 tablespoons of cereal down my toilet like a year ago or 6 months ago, literally forever ago, and I get comments on that video every single day. You're not poor, you're poor fishing, what a horrible person. Literally hate. And then there are people that exist on the internet. Most influencers that you see making videos on the internet have an extreme amount of money, and they're constantly posting videos. Look what I got. Look at this Dior bag that I spent all this money on, and like, oh my God, it's just such a treat for myself, and I am so grateful. Do you know that most of those people started off with wealth? Those people that you follow were already wealthy and y'all made them that much more wealthy, and then you're praising them. Yes, queen, oh my God, that's so beautiful. You're so lucky. I so wish that Huh? Say that again? Extremely confuses me, because the same people who comment like horrible hate on my videos, literally dumping 2 tablespoons of cereal down my toilet, are the same types of people that comment positive affirmations onto rich content creators' videos. Why do we feel the need to make people who were already privileged and wealthy that much more privileged and wealthy, and normalize that it's okay to spend $3,000 on a purse? It is not normal to spend thousands of dollars on clothing, purses, accessories. It is not normal. You want designer, buy secondhand designer. There are people who spend $5,000 on a purse, wear it twice, and then sell it for like $1,000. That is better than buying it brand new. In fact, it is immoral to spend thousands of dollars on luxury items. Let's refrain our priorities. Let's take the rich people off of the pedestals, and let's stop normalizing buying luxury items, because it isn't normal. There is nothing normal about that. You know what is normal? Dumping your leftover cereal in the trash because it got soggy. Every single person does that, rich or poor.
I just saw a video of a woman talking about how she finds it really interesting that a streaming service like Amazon Prime would have shows that have very anti-capitalist messaging. And her examples were like The Boys and Fallout. And I just think it's an important conversation when it comes to media literacy and like the use of fiction, where I have a strong belief that a lot of people in society, like they view fiction as something so distant from themselves and something that's like just otherworldly, where people think about like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, like just Fallout, like all of these superhero, fantasy, Lord of the Rings type energy, where they can't really see the thread of connection of like how it relates to our real world. Like they just go like, oh, superheroes, that's not real. Like the messaging isn't real. And I think in the context of a video I made yesterday talking about how under capitalism and under this like prison planet theory, where like people believe that they have to tell us what's going on in order for you to imprison somebody. And I just find it really odd that these products, these shows, this anti-capitalism, pro-environmentalism, like with Avatar I talked about earlier, The Handmaid's Tale, just like these stories that resonate so deeply because we're all very traumatized by capitalism, imperialism, colonization, the planet dying, so on and so forth. And so they take that fear, they take that discomfort, they repackage it into entertainment, into dopamine hits. And so they can slowly drip it to us and it becomes normalized, where it's like, you are using said show to distract, to wind down, to entertain, to whatever it may be. And if I slowly feed you those messages, you will go, okay, I love that when the movie has a really good ending. And then like you just go back to your daily life and then you just subsidize that good feeling with the entertainment instead of people, like it's like people talking about how like if TikTok gets taken away, it's like where are we all going to channel that energy? And it's like, yeah, that's a great question to be like, where is all this frustration, this anger, this confusion, this fear going to like synthesize into? And it just, I don't know, like it's just to make money. Like at the end of the day, it's Amazon as a conglomerate, as a business, as an entity, knows how to work capitalism, knows how to protect itself under capitalism. And I think pushing ideas or imagery that's very anti-capitalism in a way protects them. Like it gives something people to chew on rather than to eat the rich.
Do you know why Asian people ate dogs? Do you know where that stereotype came from? It came from Westerners coming to Asia and seeing people so poor that they had to eat their family pets to survive. Nowadays, this really isn't the case anymore. Like 99.9% of Asian people don't eat dogs. But like even if Asian people did eat dogs, what's the big deal? It's kind of hypocritical to criticize someone for eating a dog when you eat cow meat, when you eat pig meat. Like, where do you think your steak comes from? Where do you think your burgers come from? Cows are sacred in India, but do you see them bashing on Americans for having barbecues?
You are not the rich people are talking about. You're not. Even your neighbors with their BMWs, they're not. A parking lot full of BMWs, Porsches, Teslas, it's a parking lot full of debt. Most of the time. And if the car's paid off, it's a depreciating asset. It's literally not even an asset. When we think of wealth, we think of the wealth we can see in our lives. We think of brands like Gucci, which are supposed to symbolize wealth, but really they're intended to bankrupt the middle class with consumerism. You could have been making 6 figures for 10 years. You could be making 7 figures, and you're still closer to someone who lives on the street. That's not an insult to them. Than you are to the rich. Anyone can become impoverished in this country at any time because anyone can become sick at any time. Anyone can become disabled at any time. Anyone's family member can die at any time. And I think a lot of Americans know that they are really just one bad life event away from utter destruction. Again, this is why we were all screaming about taking COVID seriously. It was a great killing event. It was a great disabling event. Killed more Americans than any war. It spurred the largest transfer of wealth in the United States. So if you feel offended because you're making $150,000 a year, you're not even a crumb. When we're talking about eat the rich, I mean, like, good for you, but like.
So apparently now they have hotlines for CEOs to cope with the stress of the recent pew-pewing of a certain CEO and now of another one in Texas. And I just have a question. What do you think that looks like? Right? What do you think that looks like? I've just been so stressed lately. I had to go on vacation to Bali for 6 weeks. I had to fire 10 employees just to cope. Luckily, I've been doing yoga in between denying cancer patients chemotherapy claims. Otherwise, I just don't know how I would cope. It's just so scary for us out there.
From now on, my answer to any political question is going to be, I think we should start taxing the rich more. Laura, how do you feel about abortion? I think we should be taxing the rich. How do you feel about what? I think we should be taxing the rich. Who do you think is going to win I think that we should be taxing the rich.
So let's say it's the end of the year and there's a private equity company that manages like over $14 billion in assets, and they're going to tip their in-house office staff. You know, the people who vacuum the floors, water the plants, deliver the mail, in-house office staff. Last year, they tipped around $40 to each person and $100 like the main front house coordinators. This year, in order to save money, they've dropped those amounts to $25 each, including the most important people. The director of operations of the company stayed at the Four Seasons for 4 nights. This was about $300 over the cap that we have in New York City, which is $500. That means for that 4-night stay, they spent $1,200 over cap. That is the $1,500 they are saving by cutting these bonuses to our in-house staff. When this was brought up by the administrative staff lead, they were just like, well, I guess we're saving money. You know, we've got to do what we've got to do. No one stepped up to pay the difference in order to pay these bonuses to these people who are literally here day in and day out, making this office run well. In fact, the head of the New York and London office flew off to London and had a party where he ordered wine that was $2,500 a bottle. Pretty sure he ordered a case of it. When the director of operations found out that the administrative lead in the New York office was kind of polling around to see if maybe we could raise the money so that we could still give these office staff their full bonus for the year, she came in and said, you are not allowed to disagree because this edict came from the founder of the company and you are not allowed to disagree, in order to save $1,500 at a private equity company that manages $14 billion, where the average salary, I would say, for some of the senior managing directors is in the tens of millions. Make it make sense.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
Bro, some of y'all are sitting here mad at homeless people for begging and holding signs, mad at children who need free and reduced lunch, mad at parents who need government assistance. But I have not heard any of you that are mad about those things once, not one time, say it's unacceptable that one person can have $300 billion while billions of people live in poverty. I have not heard one of you get angry about the fact that we give trillions of dollars of tax breaks to the richest people in the world, that we forgave trillions of dollars of PPP loans for the biggest corporations in the world, that in 2008 we once again for free gave trillions of dollars to the banks that destroyed our economy. None of you are talking about the fact that we spend $700 billion a year on weapons, that we send billions of that to Israel, to unalive children, and it's insane. It's absolutely insane. You don't care that trillions and trillions and literally dozens of trillions of dollars, an unfathomable amount to the human brain over the past 10 years alone, just on weapons and the rich. Free money for the rich and weapons. That's it. You don't care about that though. You don't. But you're mad when I want my student loans forgiven. You're mad when we want transportation. You're mad when we ask for the human right of health care. But you don't care. You don't care about where the money is actually going. And that's because you're unintelligent and you have not thought this through. So maybe do that.
We have a system of legalized bribery in this country. We call it campaign contributions.
Okay, so you know how Elon Musk spent $250 million to help get Trump elected during this past campaign? I'm just going to show you really quickly the math on that and show you what it means for like normal people. Elon Musk's current net worth is approximately $355 billion. He spent $250 million on Trump's campaign and effectively bought himself a position in our government. Now, it sounds like a lot of money, but the reality is it's only 0.07% of his net worth. So to put this into perspective, if you are a millionaire, you have $1 million in net worth, the amount that it would have cost you, percentage-wise, to buy that same position would have been $700. If you had $100,000, it would have cost you $70. And if you only have $10,000, do you think you could have spared $7 to buy yourself that position? This is why we need campaign finance reform and why there should be no billionaires anyway.
The difference between being poor now and being poor in the past is, in the past, being poor meant you didn't get as nice a house, you didn't get as nice a car, you didn't get as nice a clothes, you didn't get as nice food, and you didn't get as nice vacations, but you could live. And you get a form of all of those. You get a home and a car and some vacations and some food and clothing. Being poor in America now means death, believe me. And anybody who doesn't have enough to afford those things have to borrow it or they're fucking dead. And anybody who says, if you don't like your plight in life, go get a better fucking job, fuck you. Fuck you. You think if everybody walked out of their minimum wage paying jobs tomorrow, there's going to be $150,000 jobs for all of them, no matter how hard they can work? There's finite amount of jobs like that. And anybody who says something like that is privileged. So again, fuck you. Eat the rich.
How much money would the average person need in this economy? How much? The average person would probably need anywhere from 70 to 120K in this economy specifically. But if you have a spending problem, you were so screwed, especially in this economy. Like, if you make over 6 figures, right? But you spend 6 figures per year and you still live paycheck to paycheck, like, it's not a good thing. It's really not. And I know a few people who are in this exact position. They have a spending problem, not an income problem in this economy.
According to the richest man on the planet, who's worth a little over $350 billion, instead of him paying his fair share in taxes, he thinks that the government should cut social programs that people have paid into for the majority of their lives. And I looked it up. The average check for Social Security is a little over $1,700 a month, which doesn't even cover rent in most places. I was curious as to how long it would take Elon Musk to spend his net worth. If he only spent $300 billion of his net worth, how long would it take him to spend that net worth if he spent $1 million a day? That math came out to over 800 years it would take him to spend his net worth. But he's telling you that your social programs need to be cut. Your entitlements need to be cut. Over 800 years to spend his net worth, when it could just be completely free for him to mind his own fucking business.
What is your major sign of wealth, even though it's so small?
For me, it's how someone walks and how someone talks. Poor people tend to walk with intent to get to a destination. They often have heavy steps and fairly lax posture. They also tend to talk a bit faster and louder than most people because they have less control over their environment. Wealthier people tend to walk much more slowly with their hands around their chest. They tend to make light steps with good posture because they are taught from a very early age to have good posture. They also tend to speak much slower and quieter than most people because they have more control over their environment.
I am so jealous of rich people. And it's not because they go on these trips and they meet all these celebrities and they can do whatever they want. No, I'm jealous of them because they can order out every day and never have to worry. The struggle of going into the kitchen and trying to find what to cook because you don't have the money to eat out. Because you can't cook like that. Like, I can't cook like that. I can't. And even if I could, the idea of having to go into the kitchen and figure out what to eat is stressful. And all I want to do is order out because it's so easy, but I don't have the money. I only have money enough to do the things I need to do, not the money that I want to do, okay? So I need money ASAP. I need to become rich because this ain't it. I'm done with it. I'm tired. I'm tired.
A common criticism that socialists have against capitalism is that in capitalism, workers are exploited by company because company want to pay them as low as possible. Now, that is truth to an extent. However, the situation is a lot more complicated than that. First, unlike in socialism, where people are forced to do labor without any wages, in capitalism, workers enter a voluntary labor contract with an agreed upon wage rate. Second, your ability to command a wage rate does not solely depend upon the company, but several factors. First, the complexity of the skills that is required to do the job, the demand for the skills in the market, and the labor supply of the labor pool. So it is clear to me that, say, for example, somebody who flips burger, which is a low-skill labor, there's plenty of supply of that labor, and the demand is average, can only command anywhere between $12 to $20 an hour. However, a profession like a lawyer, which requires a highly complex skills, there's a high demand for it, and the labor supply is limited, can demand anywhere up to $200 to $500 an hour. Now, if you apply socialist logic to this thing, it would mean that McDonald's is very thrifty and exploitative labor, while law firms are overtly generous. Do you know law firms to be overly generous? I don't think so. So this is a common trick that is used by socialists, that they oversimplify something that is much more complicated and give simple solution to a complicated problem. Don't be a socialist, be a capitalist, because it works.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.